Good afternoon. I'm Diane Fonno from Seacoast Mental Health Center and coming to you again with our fourth installation in our Alcohol Awareness Month and just some more education around alcohol use disorder, and how it may impact the individual, their community, their friends, because we know that alcohol use doesn't develop or progress in a vacuum just with that one person, but really, like a ripple effect in the water, touches everybody, their family, their community, their work, children, and so on. So just sort of, again, a visual representation, if you will. I have a tray that has a variety of jelly beans around the edges. So each pocket around the edge represents an area of a person's life that they value and are involved in, and it's part of their regular world. And as alcohol begins to be consumed, and again, as we've talked before about progression and building up tolerance and increase of drinking episodes and events, and people begin to look for more and more events in which to use alcohol, and events that are going to have alcohol, it becomes more attractive to be at places where alcohol is going to be served over time. That's sort of the draw that keeps people pulled in. And what we find is that we may have the family life, the children, the spouse, maybe the school, the educational components, work components, the community, your neighbors, for some people, their church group or other groups that they're involved in, friends. And so each pocket kind of represents one of those areas in a person's life. And what happens over a time when a person becomes more and more in depth with their alcohol use is that certain events can happen that take away from these pockets of their life and just add more fuel to the alcohol use disorder, which in this case will be represented by the middle of this container. So for instance, somebody had a few too many unintendedly at the end of the day at work, went out with buddies or stayed in the office with friends and missed their child's baseball game, soccer game, whatever. And so there's a little bit of a twinge to that relationship with kids, and those, that energy gets spent on alcohol. In your relationship, in your marriage, you may have conflict that comes out of drinking, and so that damage is done to that relationship. You may have friends who no longer are drinking at the same way that you are, and so they're not the people you choose to be with anymore. You may miss a friend's birthday party because you choose to be somewhere that has more alcohol involved rather than there. Little by little over time, you may stop attending social functions and community events that you used to attend regularly because you're just more interested in events that include alcohol. And so alcohol, as we see over time, begins to take away from all of those things. Maybe you missed the daddy-daughter dance at school, and there's another bucket because you were involved in drinking and you lost track of time. Maybe you missed the mommy and me class with a toddler that you were planning to attend. Maybe you lost your way on corrective parenting and you're kind of out of the sphere of how do I manage this problem? And the way to manage begins to be that, let me have a drink and think about it. You may miss family outings and events, 4th of July parties, or other things that don't involve or revolve around alcohol. And so the family misses you because you now are avoiding all of those things that don't include alcohol. And so what happens is a lot of times, by the time we see people for treatment, these outside buckets have been really strained and are down to like the bare minimum. And most or a lot of the attention in someone's life is focused on events that are including alcohol or revolve around alcohol, and that in New Hampshire, that sort of general acceptance of alcohol in many, many situations does not mean that everyone who drinks has a problem or is going to have a problem. And in many cases, it's accepted and people know their limit and they don't fall into the trap. On the other hand, there are a large number of activities where, even if it's a child's birthday party, it's not unusual to see adults drinking. And some adults may be drinking one or two and it's no more, and other adults may be drinking a lot. And the ones that are drinking a lot are not really seeing or engaging in a lot of the things that are happening with the children. And in the community, or whatever event it is, alcohol takes away from participation in all the outside events in somebody's life. And the good news is that in recovery, in some of the community supports that we've talked about in previous messages, is that as you stop drinking and start to put time back with your family, back with your spouse, back visiting your brother, back attending the things at school that your kids are accomplishing, back at work, you're there now the 5 days a week they want you to be there, and you're there during the hours that they hired you and expect you to be there. You're not in trouble with afraid of, am I going to get caught drinking and driving, or have I had too much today to get in my car and drive home? Those things no longer are the focus and the worry, because you're not drinking. All of the areas of your life that balance and satisfy and make up a happy and whole person are returned to whole. And there's a saying in recovery about becoming happy, joyous, and free. And when someone's in active alcohol use disorder, they find it hard to imagine that can be accomplished without alcohol. And fortunately, so many have reported happier, more joyous, and more freedom in recovery without the use of alcohol and other substances. So I encourage you to give us a call if you or anyone you care about is experiencing trouble with alcohol. We're happy to talk to you on the phone, meet in person, or get you into treatment, whether it's here or another level of care, or connect you to the community resources. And you can call me, Diane Fontenot. I'm the clinical manager of the Substance Use Disorder Program here, at 603-431-6703. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your spring and enjoy it alcohol-free.